So, you know how frustrating it can be when you feel like you're doing everything right, you're running ads, you have a nice website, and you're still not attracting those high paying customers. And the truth is, most businesses miss one big thing, which is how they position themselves online to get more clients. So, in this episode, I'm going to walk you through 12 simple ways to attract more high paying customers without spending extra on ads. If you're new here, my name is Josiah Roche, and I've helped over 200 businesses optimize their websites to attract high paying customers without spending more on things like Facebook ads and Google ads and things like that. So today we're diving into exactly how you can do the same. Let's get into it. So number one is you've got to start with realistic expectations. So attracting high paying customers doesn't happen overnight. It's not about making a few changes to your website and suddenly seeing customers willing to pay top dollar. So this thing takes time, but it's worth it because once you position yourself right, customers will come and they do stick around, right? So think of it like your website's a 24/7 sales machine or a salesperson, even better. If it's not doing its job, no amount of ads will fix that. So high paying customers aren't looking just for any general solution. They want to feel more like they're making a really smart investment. And so they need to make sure that they can trust you, know that you understand their needs and relate to them, and believe that you actually can, solve that specific problem that they have right now. And this taps into the idea of trust building, which is basically people are more comfortable making decisions when they feel the risk is low. And that's what your well-positioned website will show them. So number two is be very specific about who you serve, right? So one of the best ways to attract high-paying customers is to make sure you're really clear on who you're helping. So instead of trying to appeal to everyone, which waters down your messaging and makes it really hard to stand out, you try to take the time to define your ideal customer. So what are their pain points? What are their problems they're going through right now? What problems do they need solved right now? What are their desired outcomes? What are their objections to choosing a provider to solve this problem? So for example, if you're a lawyer, instead of saying, I just do family law, like we specialize in family law, you just go deeper than that. So you say something like, I help parents navigate through really tough custody battles, stuff like that. It's very specific to a problem you're solving. So being this specific to potential clients can make them feel understood because it speaks directly to their current situation right now, not we do family law. It's like they're not looking for family law. They're looking for someone to help with their custody battle, something like that. So it taps into what we call the similarity bias, and it's where people naturally trust businesses that seem to relate to them, right? So when someone sees themselves in your messaging and they relate to it, they're more likely to think you're the right person to help them. So number three is to make your services page really crystal clear. So now that you know who you're targeting, your service page has to clearly explain how you can solve their exact problem. So a generic list of services just doesn't cut it anymore. You can't just say like we do family law and this and that, and we specialize in blah, blah, blah. No one gives a shit, right? So you're trying to attract premium clients. So you need to have a premium page dedicated to their situation that they're going through right now. So what you need to do is break down each service page into dedicated pages, focusing on the specific problem your audience faces. So each problem that they have might not have the same pain points, desires, dream outcomes, etc. They've all probably got really unique, different situations happening right now. So someone going through teeth whitening is not having the same problems as someone needing implants. Different thing, right? So this is where copywriting frameworks like Problem Agitate Solution can work really well for you. So for this one, Problem Agitate Solution, or PAS for short, for the acronym, basically you first describe the problem your client is dealing with right now to relate to them, and then you dig into how this problem affects their lives right now. And then you bridge the gap between that as your service is the solution to what they're going through right now. So for example, instead of just saying something like family law services, we help people with family law going through blah, 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 but it's not like relating to the story or the situation at hand. You can frame it around when someone is going through a divorce and they might be searching for a divorce lawyer. You could say something like, we guide you through every step of the divorce process so you can start focusing on rebuilding your life and, going through, there's heaps of different angles you can go for on this one. And this approach uses what's called the contrast effect, right? By highlighting the discomfort of the problem, you can make your solution look even better. It's kind of like anchoring. Number four is go hyper local with your content. So localizing your content can make a huge difference to your conversion rate when you're connecting with high-paying customers. So don't stop at just broad locations like saying Lawyer Brisbane, and that's the page. It's about Lawyer Brisbane. Sure, that's great, right? Do that. but go deeper by creating pages that target really individual suburbs and neighborhoods within your city. So this works because of what we call the proximity effect. And basically, people tend to prefer businesses that are closer to them. That's it, right? So instead of having one general page for the entire city, create something like divorce lawyer in Paddington, for example, divorce lawyer new farm and stuff like that, and go deeper, go that next step that competitors aren't willing to go. And this kind of hyper local content positions you as the expert in that specific area, which gives locals a reason to choose you over competitors who seem further away and less connected to the community, right? So people often associate proximity with convenience and reliability, which influences their choices, right, in choosing you. Number 5 is to use testimonials and case studies to build trust, right? So high paying customers want proof that you can deliver results, and nothing builds credibility faster than social proof. Okay, so testimonials from past clients, especially ones who have faced similar challenges to what your prospective customers are going through, is very, very persuasive. Even better than that is to use video testimonials and case studies. So let's say a case study, for example, a case study walks through potential customers, through how you help someone else with their exact problem that they're going through right now in their journey, and you took them from start to finish. So this taps into what's called the bandwagon effect. And basically, the idea is that people are more likely to follow other people's actions when they see evidence of that person having some sort of success, right? So humans are social creatures, and we often rely on other people's experiences to make our own decisions. And so when prospects see that you've helped other people like them going through their same situations and they look like them, and it's down to literally like, how attractive they are and things at the subconscious level, right? And it's down to that, right? But the more likely you can make that person seem like you and going through the same problems as you, and you're reading a case study on that, the more likely you are going to convert into a customer. So when prospects see that you've helped other people like them, they're more likely to trust you and feel confident in hiring you, right? It's as simple as that. So number 6 is simplifying your messaging. So when writing website copy or content, or talking to potential clients, keep things really simple and relatable as much as you can, because high paying customers don't want to deal with complicated jargon or long paragraphs. And I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're a CEO of a company. There might be certain words that they'll grasp onto. Like, for example, in the ad space, people love ROAS and things like that in e-commerce. So for instance, instead of saying something really vague, like we provide comprehensive legal solutions, like all that boring, shitty wording that any basic person can write, you try to simplify it as much as possible, and you say like something more relatable. Like, we help families resolve custody disputes quickly and fairly. Something like that is tons better and more relatable to the previous sentence. So this kind of clear messaging really focuses on the outcome and making it easy for potential clients or customers to picture themselves benefiting from your service in the future, right? So overly complicated language really creates what's called cognitive overload, which can push people away because they have to spend too hard in their mind, like to imagine where they're at now and what the outcome will be after working with you. And the cognitive ease principle explains why simplicity leads to trust. And it's when information is easy to process, people are more likely to actually accept it and feel good about your brand after the fact. Let's move on. Number 7 is add FAQs that address common objections in the sales cycle. So one way to make the decision-making process much faster and smoother for high-paying customers is by including a detailed FAQ section that really answers common concerns up front, right? So if you think about the questions someone might have before committing to work with you, and you can answer them right away on your website, you can improve your conversion rate. So the idea is that you can reduce friction and make it much easier for clients to move forward with you because you've already answered the questions ahead of time. So for example, questions like how much does a divorce cost, or what if my ex refuses mediation, and you're answering these really confidently and showing you understand their worries and that you're transparent about the entire process. It just improves your conversion rate dramatically without having to spend more on ads. When clients feel like you've anticipated their concerns ahead of time, it really signals that you're an expert and you've been doing this for a long time and you're trustworthy, right? And these are all qualities that highly valued premium customers can appreciate, right? Number 8 is to show off your expertise with blog content. And this is for SEO as well. So by regularly updating your site with blog posts, it lets you position yourself as an authority in your field without being overly salesy, right? So each post should speak to a specific pain point that your customer is going through right now, and offering solutions, insights, and actually genuinely helpful information, not just the like no anticipation to sell them shit, right? It should literally answer the query or answer the question or answer the problem they're going through right now. And really, you need to think of every single blog post that you have as a mini trust builder. So, for example, a blog post titled Top 5 Mistakes Parents Make During Custody Battles can attract individuals actively searching for advice on handling their own custody issues, right? So, by educating your audience, you can actually position yourself as an expert, and they can rely on you, which makes you more, likely to trust you when it's time to hire a professional. Number 9 is make sure that your call to action feels very, very personal. So a generic contact us button isn't really going to resonate with someone looking for a high-end service, right? So to really engage with premium customers, your call to actions need to feel very personal and reassuring to the certain situation that they're going through on that landing page. So try using language like, let's discuss how we can help your family move forward, or get in touch to explore your custody options and things like that, right? So these types of personalized CTAs can really tap into what's called the endowment effect. And it's where people feel more connected and invested in something that feels tailored specifically for them, right? So the more personal and relevant your CTA feels, the stronger the connection you'll build with your prospective clients. So making the interaction feel more exclusive or customized gives the client a sense of ownership and of importance, and encourages them to take action. They feel like it's made for them and they feel a bit more special. Number 10 is use scarcity and exclusivity. So high paying customers often lean towards businesses that feel more exclusive or selective about who they take on. So subtly adding scarcity into your messaging can actually create a sense of urgency without being too salesy or pushy in that way. So for example, mentioning that you only take on a limited number of clients per month makes it feel more exclusive. Because scarcity really drives action, because people feel like they might miss out if they don't act quickly. Also reinforces that if you offer something premium, that it's a high touch service. And this draws on what we call the scarcity heuristic, right? So it's where limited availability increases the perceived value, making clients more eager to secure a spot with you. Number 11, don't forget about mobile optimization. So many high paying customers are very busy professionals. They're on the go, and they probably won't visit your website on desktop computer all the time, depending on what niche you're in. So most of the time they'll visit your website from their phones. And if your website isn't mobile friendly, you're missing out on connecting with those clients, right? Which is a big percentage of them. So every part of your website, from the forms, the menu and navigation, it really needs to be super simple and easy to use on a mobile device. So forms and things like that can break a lot of the time, and you don't know about it until you actually, start to see a decline in form submissions and things like that. So always test those kind of things. And speed also matters. So slow loading websites really frustrates people. You and me both, right? We're probably going on a lot of websites, and slow websites, we probably back out and find a different one after it's taking too long to load. And so a smooth, fast mobile experience really taps into the cognitive ease principle we spoke about earlier, where the simpler and more intuitive the interaction, the more trustworthy and competent you appear. Number 12 is track what's working, what's not working. Okay, so once you've put these strategies in place that we've spoken about, don't fall into the trap of set and forget like many people do. So keep an eye on what's working and what isn't with tools like Google Analytics. I use a tool called Site Behavior. It's really cool. What converts really tracks all that kind of stuff with conversions. But basically, you want to track the behavior of what people are doing on your current website. Are certain pages keeping people engaged for longer? Are others not? Are people not even visiting some pages? So you need to continuously adjust everything on your website based on the feedback of what people are actually doing on your site. So I recommend obviously using tools like Hotjar or Microsoft Clarity, or as I said before, Site Behavior, to track what people are actually doing on your website, because it can record everything that they're doing on the site itself. So you can watch their entire journey like a stalker, but it works. And you might find that, a form on your website's broken on mobile, or a page isn't loading. And it's like, wow, thank God for this tool. I wouldn't have known otherwise. So let's wrap it all up. So you now have a roadmap to attract high paying customers without needing to spend more on ads. And you need to remember that it's not about doing everything at once. Pick one or two of these things to begin with, and make sure that you're just doing one at a time, right? Most of the strategies I've given you right now take a while, right? It's not an easy thing. Sounds simple, but it's not easy. So you need to refine your service pages, add sprinkle testimonials, making sure you're tightening up your copy, making sure you're creating localized pages, and basically building trust, showing off your expertise, and being very specific about who you serve, right? And these are all things that is going to unlock that next tier, that upper echelon of high paying customers. So keep refining, keep improving, and soon enough you'll start to see results. And I hope this was helpful. I hope you take on at least 1 to 2 things in this episode that you can actually use and take on, and it'll make the world of difference to your current results at the moment. So that's all we've got time for today. If you've got any comments or questions, well, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.